Today's October 31st. It's Halloween, and I'm here at one of the most macabre, violent, most gruesome sites of all the legends that I've been covering here in Mexico City. Of all the haunted places, this is one of the most gruesome, and I almost don't want to be telling this story. It's really a disturbing story. This is not a safe for work story. If you got the kids around, motorcycles are loud. If the kids are around, maybe get them out of the room. This is the story of the Ogress of Colonia, Roma. She lived right here in this building. Obviously the 7-Eleven was not there at the time. We're talking about the 1930s and 40s. The Ogress of Colonia, Roma, they called her that because, of course, in Greek mythology, ogres were monsters that ate children. And this woman was a mass murderer. Now, she was born in Veracruz, extremely abusive family. Let's go around to the other side. Her family was, her mother was neglectful, abusive, and so she grew up without a conscience. And they say as a child she liked to kill and torture dogs and cats. Then eventually she went into nursing. She studied nursing to become a partera, a midwife. And she left her home state of Veracruz. She lived extremely poor. She moved to Mexico City, moved into this building, and God, why do these buildings always have to look so creepy? It's been abandoned for a long time. It was a school for a while after it was apartments. It's been abandoned, but this is the place. The young man selling hot dogs here confirmed it with me. He says there is a creepy vibe here. So this woman, Felicitas Sanchez Aguillon, moved into a room here. She rented a room from someone here in Colonia, Roma, and she set up shop. She had a clinic as a midwife, and her clients would come here, but she didn't make enough money as a midwife, so she decided to make some extra money on the side performing abortions. Now, of course, back then, we're talking 1930s, 1940s, that was totally illegal, criminalized. But not only did she perform abortions, but she didn't care how long the gestation was. She didn't care if it was a zygote, fetus, and they say some of her clients even would deliver the baby or bring the baby in already born, and she would still kill the baby. She didn't care. So she did Lord knows how many of these procedures, and eventually the neighbors started to complain that the sewage was getting stopped up. The sewer system here, the whole building, it was all stopped up. Of course, 1930s and 40s, there's modern sewage here, modern drainage system. And so one of the men who lived here, he had a shop right here on the first floor. The shop was likely right here where we see this window. He had a shop, and he realized that the drainage was all stopped up. And so he called in some plumbers and some mason workers, and they went to work. They decided to go straight to the source. And they broke open the pavement right here on the street, and they went down to the pipes, and they decided to find where the blockage was. They broke open the pipes here on the street, and on the third day of working, they broke the pipe open, and the whole neighborhood filled up with this fetid smell of death, this rotting smell. They went into those underground pipes, and they found human remains, infant skulls, remains of even older children. They went looking for Felicitas. They looked for her in her house. She had taken off. She was no longer there. But in her house, they found an altar with a human skull on it, with candles burning on it, and they found a ledger with all of her clients. And it turns out she was not only involved as a midwife and performing abortions, but also in human trafficking. So she was involved in human trafficking rings. She had a ledger with all of her clients, and some of them were very important people, very rich, important people in high society. So she was only in jail for 6 months. There were so many rich, important people on her list of clients, her lawyer threatened to make the list public if they didn't let her go. So she got out on bail, but she had nothing left. She had no business left. She had no friends. no family. So eventually she killed herself, the Ogress of Colonia, Roma, right here in this very building. An extremely gruesome and bloody story on this Halloween.